What's good, guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Trishula here. Today, I want to talk about the P.U.N.K cards, or more specifically, I want to talk about the P.U.N.K cards in Dragon Link. I want to answer the question, should you play the P.U.N.K cards in Dragon Link? Now, this is a question that's been floating around in the Dragon Link community for a little while now, and with the North American World Championship qualifiers coming up in a couple weeks, I figure it's time that I weigh in on the conversation. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking a bit of a deep dive into Dragon Link deck building and kind of sharing my thoughts on the subject. As always, be sure to like and subscribe if you do enjoy this kind of content. It really does help me out a lot and lets me know to keep making more of it. Also, if you're looking to get better at the game and want to support me, I do offer coaching sessions through Metafy. I love helping people get better at the game, and I know from personal experience that sometimes the best way to do so is through a one-on-one approach. I recently found out that I'm within the top 19% of all coaches on their platform, so definitely check me out on there if you think that is something that you might be interested in. Anyway, without wasting any more of your time, let's hop right into it. So let's start things off by examining the P.U.N.K engine itself. So the P.U.N.K engine is widely known in the current metagame for being seen as kind of a one-card Halki-Fibrax engine that sees a lot of play in various scythe locking strategies in the current metagame. Now, while their main purpose is to easily bring out the Halki-Fibrax, the engine is pretty well known for its ability to effortlessly weave in a P.U.N.K ruler into the combo, thanks to Deer Note's both level and ability to reborn a monster from the graveyard. But how does this fit into Dragon Link? P.U.N.K ruler is one of the signature monsters of the Dragon Link archetype and is easily summoned out by Rocket Tracer during the standard combo and has the ability to mill out numerous powerful light and dark monsters that the Dragon Link deck is already playing. So its existence alone is one of the big reasons why Dragon Link persists as a top meta threat in 2022. In the P.U.N.K deck, however, P.U.N.K's mill effect can be a little bit hit or miss. The deck does not play nearly enough light or dark monsters to make generating advantage off of the card very consistent. And compounding this issue, the deck also plays a large number of crucial combo pieces that you don't really want to mill. And while this can be mitigated to an extent by playing a Therion version of the P.U.N.K strategies, this comes at the cost of making that deck a little bit clunkier and ultimately is not necessarily preferred. Now, this leads to kind of an unfortunate scenario where P.U.N.K is much less suited to the standard P.U.N.K Scythe kind of combo decks than it would be in a deck like Dragon Link. But since the Dragon deck inherently wants to summon both Halki-Fibrax and the P.U.N.K ruler during its normal combo, being able to accomplish both of those goals with a single card activation without even using your normal summon is practically an automatic win. Not to mention that the P.U.N.K cards can also be held until later in your turn as a way to recover from hand traps such as Nibiru. So by enabling so much of what Dragon Link does that makes the deck itself good, the question really becomes, why wouldn't you play the P.U.N.K cards in Dragon Link? So to answer this, let's first take a look at kind of what a standard non-P.U.N.K variant of the Dragon Link deck would look like in the current metagame. This list is the list that I played to get top 4 at the Waterloo, Ontario regional a couple weeks back. If you're interested in a more detailed discussion of this deck exactly, please check out the video that I made on it, linked in the description below. But now let's compare this list to a P.U.N.K variant. This list is the top 16 list from German Nationals, which was piloted by my favorite weeb on all of Dueling Book, Johannes Bauer or Sadens. As you can see, the two decks are largely the same, with the main difference being the P.U.N.K variant foregoing the 2-card Souls package in favor of adding the 6 P.U.N.K cards. Doing this increases the total deck count by 4 while replacing 2 extenders with 3 E-Telly, Xiamen, Foxy Tune, and the 1 brick in Deer Note. At the first glance, this looks pretty favorable. You're replacing 2 extenders with 4 extenders and a starter for only a few extra cards in deck and 1 brick. But looking at the math this way assumes that drawing the P.U.N.K cards is actually good. Now, considering how much of the Dragon strategy is currently reliant on the adventure package, which is not to say that the Dragon Link deck can't combo when it doesn't see the adventure cards. However, the adventure cards make the Dragon Link combo a lot better and a lot safer. So keeping that in mind, normal summon Xiamen is usually equally as good as just normal summoning an Ash Blossom, either because you have already activated Rite of Aramisur or because you might be afraid of not being able to activate Rite of Aramisur later in your turn. Similarly, drawing Foxy Tune is the same as just drawing a neg 1 E-Telly. And while Xiamen can recover that neg 1 by adding Deer Note, the Deer Note itself does nothing on its own and is simply a dead card, meaning that you're going to have to trade out a potentially live card in your hand or a hand trap in order to just special summon a tuner that replaces that card with a Garnet. So taking this in mind, we can actually look at the P.U.N.K engine as adding 3 really good cards with the emergency teleports and 3 bad cards with the 3 P.U.N.K cards, since we do not want to draw any of them. While the argument can be made that Xiamen itself is a starter, this leads into an issue that I see come up a lot with Dragon Link players, especially newer ones. And this revolves around timing your Pepega ruler correctly. Oftentimes what happens in Dragon Link is that you don't want to summon Pepega until very late in your turn. And the reason for this is because you want to have been through a lot of crucial cards. So if we return to the standard Dragon Link list, by the time that you have summoned your Pepega ruler in the standard variant of Dragon Link, you've been through your Tracer, your Recharger, you've probably been through Absolouter, you've been through your field spells, you've used your adventure package, you might have gone through a Water Enchantress, you've milled your Fairy Tale Snow, you've been through your Rose Dragons, which leaves about 30 cards left in your deck. Keep in mind that you did draw 5 cards, so there would be 5 fewer cards in your deck. But if you take a look at the cards that you have available to mill, most of them are either hand traps or extenders. Milling either of the Magician's Souls package are extenders. Milling either of the Baby Dragons are extenders. Destrudo, obviously an extender. You could consider the Rocket Monsters extenders depending on whether or not you used your normal summon or boot sector at this point. And you can mill Chaos Bases, which could give you a free draw, or you could mill a light hand trap, which you would be able to back up your board. Now, if you compare this, however, to the P.U.N.K variant of the deck, you would still have all of these same cards in your deck. However, you would be taking out the Souls package. If you're playing Saden's list, you also would not have the Destrudo as well, and you'd be instead replacing them with 5 cards that you can't add and the 1 Foxy Tune that you could, but as we've already discussed, the Foxy Tune on its own is not very good. So this not only decreases the number of addable cards from your deck, but also dilutes the pool, making it less likely that you will mill one of these good cards in your 5 cards. Now, returning back to why you wouldn't want to normal summon Xiamen, if you normal summon Xiamen, you're almost committing yourself to summoning Pepega far earlier in your turn than you would otherwise. And what often ends up happening is you risk milling really important cards. So for example, we can just take out the Foxy Tune and Deer Note. However, those are the only cards that you've been through by the time you're activating Pepega's effect, meaning that you have the ability to mill anything out of your deck and not just good mills. So this means that you could end up milling anything from your deck, and while this risks you milling crucial combo pieces, it also means that the mills in your deck are not necessarily good. So if you don't hit crucial combo pieces, then you're still less likely to mill good cards. So with this in mind, this means that the optimal line of play is actually to use your P.U.N.K cards in order to go into your Halki-Fibrax and just reborn the Xiamen, protecting your Halki-Fibrax. However, this means that you're not getting the best value out of your P.U.N.K cards, and instead you're simply just using them to summon Halki-Fibrax. So to summarize, by including the P.U.N.K cards in your Dragon Link deck, you're only adding 1 extra extender. However, you're adding 3 cards that you don't really want to draw, while also increasing your deck count, making your Pega mills worse, and making it less likely that you're going to open a hand trap or to draw your side deck cards post-siding. However, this all said, the P.U.N.K cards are not bad in Dragon Link. They're very explosive, and emergency teleport is close to an automatic win. They simply require more careful navigation of your turns, and one interesting point about the Punk cards in Dragon Link is that a non-adventure variant of Dragon Link doesn't have many of these downsides. The Punk cards are actually much stronger in a pure version of Dragon Link. Now, while I wouldn't recommend playing Dragon Link without the adventure cards in this current format, I think that's really important to keep in mind for future formats. Overall, I think the Punk cards are a really large investment in Dragon Link that often encourage suboptimal play. However, when played well, they can be an incredibly powerful tool in the Dragon deck. Let me know what you think about the Punk cards down in the comments below. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy it. But anyway, that's about all I have for you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.